Kavita Joshi, associated with StartupJob.in as the Public Relation Manager. I am your host and host for today's meeting. StartupJob.in is a dedicated job portal for Indian startups. We are trying to automate the entire recruitment life cycle for the startup employers. Our company started in September 2019. Beta version of website was launched on 1st May 2020 on International Labour Day. We also have our co-founder and CEO, Mr. Umashankar Akarya, present with us today in our meeting. Masterclass series is a weekly learning platform to provide specific tips to recruiters, startup founders, and job seekers as well. Apex is about sharing the topics for the benefits for the founders. Today, we are going to have a discussion on corporate venture and open innovation, opportunity for startups to work with the corporate. Einstein rightly said, in the middle of the opportunities, in the middle of the difficulties lies the opportunities. This statement perfectly fits in the current scenario, as we all are witnessing that because of the COVID-19, how some of the big industries are crawling on their knees. On the same side, we are also witnessing the startups raising their head against the pandemic. Today, we have Mr. Ronak Mustafa with us, who will tell us how startups can make use of this current situation for their benefits. What all strategies they can adopt, not only to survive, but also to thrive in this pandemic. Allow me to introduce Mr. Mustafa. Mr. Ronak Mustafa is a professional business incubation professional with more than 15 years of experience in promoting startups in India and neighboring countries. He had been instrumental in setting up 5 government approved technology business incubators in the country, incubated 500 plus startups, and trained 1500 and plus startup entrepreneurs. He is currently working with IIM Lucknow incubator known as L Incubator in Noida Sector 62 as CEO. He is focusing in opening innovation and corporate venturing to transform the startup ecosystem in India and advising to many Indian PSUs and corporate. Now, let's start the discussion about the very topic, that is corporate venture and open innovation, opportunity for startups to link with the corporate. This session is structured into 2 sessions. The initial session, where the speaker will talk about the 15 minutes, and later in the later half, the rest 15 minutes will be given to the audience to ask questions to the speaker. So let's hear our honorable speaker for today, Mr. Mustafa, on corporate venture and open innovation, opportunity for startups to work with corporate. Over to you, Mr. Mustafa.
And it's a privilege, like to share my some informations and thoughts related to the open innovations and corporate venturing, which is a very new practice in the startup ecosystem. We as an institution, IIM Lucknow, have hosted one incubation center at Noida campus, and we are basically supporting startups in terms of like scaling up their business, as well as raising the bar of the entrepreneurial ecosystem of the country. And in this journey, we have discovered the new practices. Of course, few practices were established into the other part of the world, but in Indian market, it was very new and very nascent stage. So we have adopted that opportunities and started establishing these practices of corporate venturing and open innovation in Indian market. And we are being very successful to work with many corporates, especially into the energy sector corporates and agri-tech corporates. So I'm going to talk about the opportunities for startups, how they can benefit if they are going to work with the corporates. and why corporate would like to work with the startup. So what are the synergies between a startup and the corporates which can help each other to do the good business and create a larger impact in the Indian ecosystem? So here is our few, like the slides we have prepared for the community, and I hope it would be useful for them. So my topic for the discussion today is the corporate venture capital unlocked. And let me begin with this thought. Mr. Vijay Shekhar Sharma, who is the CEO and founder of Paytm. So I have met him, just a couple of months back, maybe 6 months back, at one program of NASCOM. And I was just, discussing the valuations part of the startup. Okay, how the valuation is working in the startup ecosystem, and why valuation does big matter for the founders. Most of the time, founders, even at the very earliest stage, they demand for very high valuation, and investors are not ready to give that kind of the valuation. So what exactly, the value of the valuation in the startup? So he showed me, one statement what he has made. I want to be India's first $100 billion company by value. And he has given me that also, that poster. So he said, this is my answer for your question. So I said, okay. He is claiming that he is going to be $100 billion company by value. So here the most important word is $100 billion company by value. So by value is most important. It means the company valuations will reach to the $100 billion. Remember, last exit, and that was the biggest exit of Indian startup ecosystem, was Flipkart, and that Flipkart exit was $21 billion. So $21 billion and $200 billion, there is a good gap. All right. So Flipkart exit was the biggest exit so far happened in the Indian market. And Walmart has bought 27% equity on payment of $16 billion to this Flipkart company. So how many of us or how many of you can agree that the Paytm really can reach to that $100 billion, company by value? Of course, this statement was made before this COVID-19 pandemic. So considering this COVID-19 pandemic situations, I may accept, I may, realize they may little bit down to the valuation side, but still if I am taking this argument of $100 billion by value, then I think uh, most of us would be agree on that. Yes, Paytm can become $100 billion company. All right. So
Well, sir, sorry to interrupt. Would you like to share your screen as well?
I have shared the screen.
We can't see, sir. Please
Okay.
retry it.
Uh, let me check once again, because see, once I start a screen, then Zoom disappear, and once I go to the Zoom, then my slides disappear. So share screen, I have clicked on that. Can you see now?
Not right now, sir. Now, yes, we can
Okay.
see.
All right.
We can full screen it.
Full screen. Yes, I can do it.
Perfect,
Are
sir.
you able to see it now?
Perfect.
All right, fine. So yes, I was discussing about this slide where Mr. Vijay Shekhar Sharma was claiming that to be $100 billion company by value. I hope a startup community will agree on this because we all are very optimistic, and we want to grow very fast as a startup, and that is the characteristics of a startup. They are growing very fast, but still, it is not easy to reach to the $100 billion company. considering the fact that Flipkart exit was $21 billion, right? And but let's say, suppose if we are accepting it, my next question to this $100 billion company by value is, do we have really money? Because somebody has to invest this much money, right? So let's say, suppose if somebody is bringing some fund, or if they want to buy even 30%, 40% of the company, then they have to bring the fund of $30 billion, $40 billion. Do we have that kind of the big bucket available in the Indian market who can serve the purpose of these companies? So that's why, like Paytm started, raising funds from the China market. And as you might be aware, the Paytm is heavily funded by the Chinese funding agency. And considering now the relationship between the countries, I don't know how it is going to behave in future. So this is a very big challenge for our country to have that kind of the basket available to serve the purpose of the startups, not only at the seed stage but also at the larger scale stage, because the startup are facing challenges at both places. One is at the very beginning stage, at the seed stage, they need some money like 1 crore, 2 crore rupees. And once they grow very big, they also need a very big basket of fund. And at that time, India again is struggling, and they are going for the, like either Chinese venture capital market, or maybe, like the US venture capital market, because in Indian venture capital market, pure Indian venture capital with this kind of the bucket size is not available. So that was the problem statement in my mind. Okay, why India is not bringing this kind of the big basket size to serve the purpose of this kind of a startup who are looking for $30 billion, $40 billion, or maybe, like the $50 billion, or maybe $80 billion, or $100 billion, right? Do we really have money or not? Or what is the fact, or what is the reality? So we did a basic survey, we did a basic research, right? And we came to the conclusion, India has money, but actually they do not have the vision, and they do not have the clarity about, like the investment in the startup. So we discovered two problems. Number one problem is that the Indian market is still trying to invest on asset-based companies. So the mindset is the problem. The mindset is still, like the asset-based investment. Until unless you do have, like asset, nobody will come out and invest that kind of the money in your venture. If you look the US market, if you look the China market, uh, they have a bit, like the clarity in their mind, and they are open to invest into the cloud, or that is called, we call into the terminology, they invest into air. So entire money is into the air. Let's say, suppose if somebody has given money to Flipkart, there is no asset created, right, by the Flipkart. So the entire solution, the entire technology is in air. So as an Indian venture capital firm, are we really ready to put that kind of money in the air? So do we have that kind of the appetite to take that kind of risk? So this is a big question of the mindset into Indian market. So mindset is the first challenge. And second is that nobody has that kind of the big basket readily available. It doesn't mean that Indian market doesn't have money. So there are firms, there are agencies who can create this kind of the corpus. It may be possible one individual company may not create that kind of the corpus, but let's say, suppose if 2 3 companies coming together and creating a corpus that can serve the purpose. So that was our precursor, or that was our, like the thought process to start working with the corporates. So we started, like talking with the corporates and discussing with the corporates and explaining to the corporates how corporates can come and join hands together to create a big basket, to create a big fund to serve the purpose of a startup. So let's say, suppose if a Reliance is coming, Tata is coming, and some other company like family business houses are coming together and creating a corpus, so that corpus can solve the purpose of these kind of the company. Second is that if we are going to talk with these oil sector company, Navratna companies, Maharatna companies, they are very big. They have money, but they do not have the mindset. They do not have, like the clear reason about that. Why should they invest in the startup? All right. So the first fundamental question was by these corporates, why we should invest in the startup? And that was $1 million question. And somebody has to answer that question. Because yes, why this Indian Oil or the ONGC or Hindustan Petroleum or Bharat Petroleum should invest in this startup? Because they are established business. So we have taken those questions and worked on a strategy which is called, we have also learned this from the like the other part of the country, that is called the corporate venturing and open innovation. So I'm going to talk about the corporate venturing. What is the corporate venturing and how corporate venturing can create an opportunity for a startup and corporates to work together to pass the benefit to each other. Because that corporate venturing model will be very, very useful for the corporates, for the established companies, and equally it will be very, very important and beneficial for the startup companies. So let's go for it. If you look my slide, I'm just giving some brief about like various types of capital or the funding available for a startup. So if you look, the first stage, that is called preparation stage. So at the preparation stage, nobody is going to give you money. All right. So you have to collect the money from your friends and family. Either you have to ask money from your friend or maybe from your family and collect those money and start something doing. Right. So that we say that is the pre-seed money, which comes from family and friends. Then you may go for a crowd pulling, but crowd pulling is a very a rigorous task. And I say that going to the thousands people and asking money, uh, it's a mammoth job and it is very time consuming job, and it requires like the dedicated time and effort, uh, and the result is also not sure. So if you ask my personal opinion, uh, so far whatever I have learned from this startup ecosystem, my opinion is that crowdsourcing or crowdfunding is not a very attractive way for the startup to raise fund. Of course, crowdsourcing can help in one thing, that is validation of your idea. So let's say, suppose if you are reaching to 100 people and asking money, and if 10% out of 100 say yes, right, it means that the 10% are validating your idea. Yes, this idea is workable, right? So whatever the time you are spending, the result could be like the validation of your idea. Money may be peanuts. So if you are going for crowdsourcing with an objective of raising funds only, then I would not recommend, I would not suggest But if you are going with the dual purpose, dual objective, okay, I want to validate my idea. Also, some like money can be raised. Go ahead. So there are a lot of agencies or the platform who helps into the crowdsourcing and like bringing the fund for the companies. The third stage is that where you are going and searching to the angels. Angel investors are individual who have some money, who have some passion, who have some experience and expertise, and they may not have time to do business by own, so they may be searching for a startup who are matching to their vision, who are matching to their objective and goal, and they would like to like work with that startup, so they are investing money. So it may be like 50 lakh, 30 lakh, 40 lakh, 100 lakhs. It depends on the work, it depends on the capability of that individual angel investor. Now there is two way of working with the angel investors. One is that if you have your own network, it will work fast and the disbursement of fund can happen faster. Second is that you are approaching to the platform. There are lots of agencies. Like we have also started I Am Lucknow Angel Network. So we are also building the network of our alumni who may have some passions to invest in the startup and support their alma mater. So we are trying to, like the tap those by expertise or those, like the people who have the money as well as, like the capability to support and help the startups. So you can start approaching to this kind of the network, like I Am Lucknow Angel Network. Similarly, there are other angel network also. So people can go and talk to the platform people and ask, for the fund. So these are, like a way to raise the fund from the angels. Of course, the third stage is, you can say, kind of early stage to growth stage. So early stage to growth stage, it is majorly captured by venture capital firm. So venture capital firm, uh, there are various stages into the venture capital firm also. So there are a lot of venture capital firm uh, who are investing into early stage company, and there are many venture capital firm who are only investing at the growth stage startup, those who are looking for a scale up fund. So for example, if we talk about the Sequoia, SAF partners, so these are very renowned venture capital agencies, venture capital firm who majorly invest into the growth stage companies with a bigger ticket size. But there are lots of other, like a small venture capital agencies who invest into early stage in a ticket size of, like 5 crores, 6 crore, 10 crore, or maybe, like 2 crores or 1 crore. Now my submission here, if you look the right arrow, my personal opinion and my personal suggestion and advice to the startup, yes, you can definitely explore the opportunities to raise fund from the venture capital firm. But at this stage, when you have some product ready and you are into the market, right? If you approach corporate venture capitals or the corporate investors, it will add lot of values to your startup. Now the question is that what is the difference between the corporate venture capitalist and the normal venture capitalist. Definitely, I have one slide where we are going to talk about what is the fundamental differences between the corporate venture capitalist and the venture capitalist. But I just wanted to tell here, these are the stages, and once you are ready to go and raise a fund from the venture capital, I would recommend you must knock the door of corporate venture capital, because corporate venture capital will add many more values, but venture capital will only bring the fund. So let's go and talk about what is that corporate venturing and the open innovation, and how the corporate venture capital can be more beneficial at the growth stage, and what benefits if a startup are going to work with the corporate venture capital. I'm just giving you some brief genetics to understand little bit about the open innovation and corporate venturing. Open innovations, if you look, you must have heard about the open source technology, you must have used it. And you must be hearing about open database. The world is moving towards open database. So data would be free accessible. Similarly, innovation will become also very open. So let's say, suppose I'm giving you an example. Since I'm coming from the IT background, I do understand IT, but not much about the mechanical engineering and the electronics and electrical. So I generally quote from the IT. So if you look the open source technology, through the use of the open source code, through the use of open source technologies, people have built a lot of applications. For example, I'm telling you, you must be heard about Open ERP, and then Callisto, Nereid, Flask, Power Email. So these all are the tools which has been created and donated by the professionals, which is an innovation. So let's say, suppose somebody has used the open source technology, developed one API, and donated into the open source community. So lots of innovations are going to be freely available, which you can use, which you can integrate in your applications and do the wonderful job. Right? Similarly, the other aspects of open innovation is that the corporate also require this kind of the open innovations technology to be adopted, so that they can utilize those technologies and solve their pain problem. So how do they do? They give a problem statement. Let's say, suppose one oil company has a problem of leak in the pipelines. So now they will give the open challenge. Now they are not developing within the organization. They are going into the open market. It means they are sourcing the innovation from open market, which is an open innovation community. So they will give the problem statement, and it will be flashed into the open market as a challenge. Okay, if somebody can develop a solutions to do a remote leak detection of a pipeline, we are ready to support. So now this open innovation based ideas, this open innovation based practices, given the opportunities to many a startup to develop that kind of the technology and present those technologies to the corporates. And the corporates can take those technology from the open market, adopt that technologies, right? Buy that technology And there are lots of the mechanism how to, like adopt that technology, which is called technology adoption, and like the technology buying, or maybe called like the corporate venturing. So I hope I'm able to explain about the concept of open innovation. So open innovation, when the innovation is in the market, or anybody can access all those innovations, or the corporates are coming out of the boundary and sourcing the innovations from the open market. So these are the concept of the open innovations, and the future is going to be on this open innovation concept. So open innovation has a very great future tomorrow, which will solve big problem and biggest like the challenges of the corporates. In fact, Cisco or Intel is very pioneer into open innovations and corporate venturing. So let me explain the concept of corporate venturing also. I hope you understood the concept of open innovation, but what is the concept of corporate venturing? So corporate venturing practices, it means that suppose I have given a problem statement to the open market to develop some innovation. Now I see there are the 10 startups or maybe 10 innovators develop those technologies, right? Or at least conceptualize that technologies, but they need financial support to build that prototype, financial support to develop the MVP, financial support to POC, right? Now the concept of corporate venturing comes in the picture. So now the corporate has to select out of 10 the best concept presentation, the best idea presentation, the best algorithm presentations, or whatever like the readiness available with those innovator. And out of those 9, 10, they have to pick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. All right. And they have to devise a strategy and mechanism. They have to devise a strategy and mechanism to provide them the financial support to develop the MVP, financial support to do the POC, and then finally, whatever the financial support given by the corporates, that financial support maybe as a grant, right? With this mutual agreement or with this agreement that if you will be successful, this technology would be part of our corporation. So I'm giving you grant to develop this technology, right? Either grant or the beautiful concept is the equity investment, right? So the money, whatever given by the corporate to support the development of product, to support the development of POC and MVP, all those money can be converted into equity. So the moment corporate has the equity participation in the startup, so that venture become the corporate venture. So that is easy to understand the concept of corporate venturing. It means now corporates are creating many ventures together. So one corporate can create thousands of the ventures by supporting through the equity investment, by supporting through the grant, right? So there are the 2 3 mechanism, maybe soft loan also, but soft loan is not a practice which is widely accepted in the community. So it means one corporate is helping to create hundreds of the venture, which is the concept of the corporate venturing. I hope it was like explained properly, and now the concept of the open innovation and the corporate venturing is clear to all of us. And to do that, the corporate has started like many arms for that. So they do the corporate venturing. Now, whenever I'm telling corporate venturing, I think you would be able to connect with that concept. So what is the concept of the corporate venturing? So to do that corporate venturing, they have created many arms. They have created corporate venture capital arm. They are also doing the corporate accelerator program. They are also doing the corporate and incubation partnership. So now the IIM Lucknow Incubation Center has become the corporate incubation partner for many corporates and helping them into sourcing the open innovations and developing the corporate ventures. Yes. So I think I'm clear on this about the concept of corporate venturing. So corporate venture capital. Now I'm taking one portion of that. I told there are three mechanisms adopted by the corporate, or you can say three practices adopted by the corporates to support the startup. One is the corporate venture capital. So they have set up a fund to support the startup, which is called the corporate venture capital. And this is the main subject, main topic of the today's discussion. How do they really help? Through the corporate venture capital. So corporate venture capital, they give money. They also give the market access. They also give the mentoring. Let's say, suppose if somebody is developing some technology, for example, I must quote BK Sharma has developed a technology, who has joined in this program as well. He has developed a smart pig. So that a smart pig would be very, very strategically useful for the oil sector company. So now these corporates are investing in this startup so that they can develop this technology. And during the development, they also provide industry input, because this corporates has better industry know-how, right? So they provide the industry inputs. That is kind of, like we can say mentoring. Once you are ready with the technology, they may give you opportunity to test it. So that testing, it means paid POC, maybe paid pilot run, right? And tomorrow they may give you the projects, right? They may give you the project. So that paid POC, paid pilot to paid project, that is the market access. It means you have started accessing the market. It means accessing the business from the corporates. So one is that the support coming at the initial stage to develop the product, and also you got lots of industry input, mentoring supports. Also you are getting the testing supports, paid POC, paid pilot, and then like tomorrow you can access the projects as well. I am giving you a good news. I would like to share this information among the startup community, that we have pushed and we have proposed to the corporates, because we are working with the energy sector corporates, to create a reservation for a startup in the tender process. How this idea come in our mind? I have read the government of India has requested the corporates, and they have set also the guideline, to give relaxation in the norms of tendering. So these corporates were struggling. Relaxation in the norms in terms of like experience and the revenue, it's okay if they do not have experience, still they can bid. They do not have the revenue, still they can bid. But how do we select them? That was the main question, because they will never come to the L1 stage, because the other side, big player will always bid in the same tender. So in that case, the chances of a startup to come at a L1 is a very, very rare, right? So we have suggested, we have devised a scheme, a mechanism, a process, and shared with the energy sector companies, and hopefully it will be adopted, and it will be into their practice. So what I have suggested that, see, selection of L1, L2, L3, it is very difficult for the startup to reach at the L1. All right, maybe the price wise they can, but right, the technology and like the no technology wise still I can say, because like startups are bringing very novel technology. But again, if it is not tested at your end, you will not be ready to take that technology. What I'm talking about the tender business. I'm not talking about the corporate venturing practice. Right. So in the tender, normally they take companies who have established technology, established practices, and experience of doing that kind of the project. So if any startup is bringing the new technology, you will not accept, because it is not tested. Right. Even if they bring, like the price very down, you will not adopt, because you have not tested that technology, so you are not sure, and you do not have the confidence on that technology. So you will never give the chances and opportunity to the startup to win the bid. So they said that, then what is the like your suggestion? So we have advised that you have to come with a policy where you can reserve 25% for a startup. So for example, let me explain it. Let's say, suppose if you are going for 100 crores bid, so out of 100 crore, 25 crore will be reserved for the startup. It means 75 crores bid can be passed to the established player, but 25 crores bid, 25% of the total bid will go to the startup, and you may do rigorous selections of the startup basis on their strength of the technology and delivery. All right. And give them only 25% of that work. Right. So even this 25% of work to the startup would be a great support. So I think this 25% reservation for a startup will be a great disruption into the tender process of the corporates.
Sir,
Right.
it is already being done. It is already being developed. Now we are seeing the tender, and we are getting these things are in tender now. And
So relax. Yeah. So that's great. That is beautiful thing. So we have, like not a reservation part. You may not be seeing that, because the relaxation of norm is there. A relaxation of norm is there, but a reservation of 25%, especially for the startup, if it is already there, that is a great thing to happen, because if because right now we have suggested this to ONGC and the HPCL, and we are discussing with the Indian Oil. GAIL has some scheme, but it is not a reservation, because a relaxation is a different thing. That is a norm set by the government of India. Right? Okay, you have to take the startup even if they are not meeting the eligibility criteria of experience and the turnover. So I'm not talking about the eligibility criteria relaxation. No, I am saying that 25% of the total bid must be reserved, like reservations we have in the Indian Constitution for scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. So in this similar mode, I have suggested that recommended in every bid, there must be 25% of the total bid value should go to the startup. So thanks, BK. If you have seen that, this is a great opportunity, and it comes under the corporate venturing concept. So yes, working with the corporate is the future for the startups. Oh yes. Uh, I think I have discussed on all those things. Uh, this part of value added to the corporates, what kind of the value startups are adding to the corporates. So definitely, like startups are bringing innovation for the corporates, and corporates can adopt those technology very fast, and they can take the competitive advantage. Let's say, suppose if BK has developed one technology, and if it is adapted by one company, then they will definitely take the competitive advantage in the market, and it can create also the strategic business partnership. Of course, since it become the corporate venture, it means they are investing in the company against equity. So whatever the revenue would be generated by this company, that can create also the source of revenue for like those established corporates. And a startup are getting like the venture fund. Startups are getting the domain expertise. Startups are getting a strategic business partnership. They are also getting the market access for a startup. They also take pilot POC support and businesses from the parent firm. That means from corporates. If you look the comparison between the corporate venture capital versus independent capital. Now I am coming back to the first slide where we were talking about what is the difference between corporate venture capital and why we should work with the corporate venture capital rather going for the individual venture capital firm or the independent venture capital firm. So of course, the corporate venture capital brings a lot of value, which we have already discussed, that they also give uh, a strategic business value. They give the mentoring supports. They also give the market access. Right. And besides of that, like it's a strategic value creation for the corporates investors. Right. So if corporates are working with the startup, they are taking the strategic benefit. They are taking the strategic advantages. Uh, from medium term to very long, open-ended. This is the investment horizon. Governance, general partners. If you look into the venture capital firm, so they have the partners and who decides on the fund. So there are the personal interests. But in the governance side, if you look into the corporate venture capital, it is decided by the investment committee. Right. So there is no personal interest. Right. And these are the like some comparative between the corporate venture capital firm and independent. If you are going to raise fund from the corporates, so these are the things you should keep in your mind when you are pitching to the corporates. So you must give a weightage to a strategic alignment of your business with that corporate, how much your business or technology is relevant for the corporates. So it works about like 79% or 80% of the weightage. Second thing is that financial return over a period of time, can we start giving back? And third is that like through our technology, can corporate become thought leader, or can corporate become like number one player into that area? And also you have to look when you are pitching to the corporate for funding, uh, you should look the potential acquisition. So let's say tomorrow if corporates wants to acquire you, you may give this kind of the propositions to them when you are pitching. Okay, let's say tomorrow if you want to acquire, because they are the big fish, and they may acquire the startup tomorrow if the startups are doing good. So these are the some like the parameters, and some like the weightage, a score, which you should keep in your mind when you are pitching to the corporates. Few information: these are the active corporate venture capitalists globally, especially like the Google Venture, Intel Capital, Salesforce Ventures, Qualcomm. These all are very established players, and they are purely working on the concept of open innovations and corporate venturing. So whenever you are pitching to the Google, you must remember this slide, and strategically aligned with the relevant and emerging companies, right? So that strategic alignment is very, very important for the corporate venture capital, which normally other independent venture capital doesn't look into that. They are just looking for the financial return. So it means if you are going to pitch to the Intel Capital is not looking only for the financial return. They are looking more technology alignment, technology value, some kind of the value addition into their business. So that is the main differences. And if you are going to raise fund from the Sequoia or the SAC partner, then they must be looking only the financial return. Yeah, after like so many years, what percentage of the return are you going to give back? It is 10x, 20x, 30x. That is the parameters they are using into their funding and all. So it is always beneficial for the startup if they are going to the corporates. So I was just telling you that these are the corporate players globally established venture capital, corporate venture capital firm, and they are very, very pioneer. And in fact, I would say that the Intel is the most successful open innovation based and corporate venturing based organization. Whatever the innovation you are seeing into Intel, they have been pioneered into like the corporate venturing and open innovations space. If you look the Indian market, these are the corporate venture capital firm who are very, very active. So let's say suppose Times Group is very active. InfoEdge is the Naukri.com. They have been, successful into investing. Maybe, they must have added more startup now. Paytm and Flipkart, Google Ventures has also started in Indian market. They have invested into Dunzo. Wipro Ventures is very good. They are investing. Of course, there are a lot more to do in this space, especially into Indian market, because Indian market is still at a very nascent stage in terms of the corporate venture capital and corporate venturing and open innovation space. The beautiful part and the most exciting information for the startup community is that the PSUs has also started to invest in the startups, and especially the energy sector, Hindustan Petroleum, ONGC, GAIL, Bharat Petroleum, Indian Oil, and besides of them, agriculture-based organization like National Fertilizer, CRIPCO, IFCO, they all are coming up. And the beautiful and the good news is that we are helping to all of them in devising their process and policy, being a pioneer institution of the country. So that's a great news. In fact, this PSUs has started working on the concept of corporate venturing and open innovation, which is a very new beginning. And as a part of the startup ecosystem, we are very much excited, and we are very much hopeful to see many things is going to happen in the startup landscape, and especially the corporate venturing concept will flourish, and it will disrupt the Indian market of the startup ecosystem. What to be done as a startup? What do you do, or what you need to do? So these are 2-3 points as a suggestion, as a advice for the startup. I think you should start identifying a corporate who can be a potential buyer of your technology, or identify which sector is the early adopter of what technology. So listen carefully my sentence. You have to identify which sector is adapting technology faster. So for example, if we are building some technology related to Industry 4.0, then Industry 4.0 technologies adoption rate into energy sector is very high, because they have money and they have the problem. So if you can solve their problem, they can adopt your technology very fast. The second very fast technology adopter sector is agriculture, maybe, but before agriculture, I would say healthcare. So healthcare as a sector is adopting technology very fast. So if you can bring some technology to solve the problem, let's say suppose even at this pandemic period of COVID-19, if somebody is discovering a test kit, like, uh, uh, we can buy a pregnancy test kit in a very, like, cheap rate, and we can know that the result. So if that kind of the device somebody is developing, there is a great scope uh, of those kind of the things. So this sector is ready to adopt the technology, and this sector require much and much technology. So as a startup, you should first discover the sector, which sector is ready to adopt the technology and which sector is adopting technology very faster. So then you should build the technologies, because if you are a technology builder, if you are a technology innovator, right, so then you have to first research on that data, which sector is adopting technology faster, and build the technology and solutions for that sector. So then the sales will happen, like, faster. So that is one advice. Second is that calibrate your technologies and business model to make it strategically aligned. So you have to be perfect into calibrating your technology, which can be right fit with that corporates. So let's say, suppose if you have identified X corporate, okay, this corporate can adopt my technology because they are adopting this kind of the technology, or they are working into this sector. So then you have to calibrate your technology in such a way which can be a right fit for that business, and also you have to tweak little bit your business model so that it can make more strategically right fitment. So then the adoption, the selection would be easy. So this is the second advice what I can tell to the startup community. Keep searching the bid tender, right, and start bidding that, because now the bidding door is open for every startup, because the relaxation norms has opened the door. So even if you do not have the experience, if you have the technology and the team, go ahead for that. Maybe you can be able to get some business from the corporates. Fourth, if you are a startup, you need one institutions who can help you in doing all those things, because it adds a lot of value. Right, once you are associated with some kind of the incubation center who has a certain, repute into working with the corporates, then it will be easier for you if you are positioning yourself to the corporates uh, by associating with some kind of the incubator who are pioneer into the corporate venturing and having good relations and more tie-ups with the corporates. So that is the fourth suggestion for the startup and advice for the startup. You should identify the some incubator who has a close tie-ups with corporates and can help you to access money and market. So this is the 4 5 like advices for the startups today, and I think this could be very very helpful and useful for all of you. I think I am like making some sense, and this information would be like useful for all of you. And with this, I would like to say pranam, namaste, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mustafa. It was a great learning session and it was wonderful to have you. Such an insightful and learning session from you. I truly believe that learning and having knowledge is one thing, but it's an art to impart that knowledge. And I completely agree with this statement right now when I talk to you, speak for you. As the way you talk, the way you explain everything, I think even the person who is not having that much knowledge and aware about the topics of corporate venture and open innovation space in India right now, he must be having a clear view right now that what exactly is the difference between open venture, open innovation, and how it's honing its space in India currently. You also brought in the strategies that what exactly, okay, fine, this is a thing, now what exactly can be done. It was really great, and we are really thankful to have you over here tonight. And moving on to our next session, I would like,
Thank you, Kavita. Thank you, Kavita.
thank you so much.
Wonderful host today.
Open the stage for audience to ask questions if they have any doubts to the speaker. You can unmute yourself and ask the questions. Okay, moving on. I have certain questions which I would like to ask. Uh, as we can see, the situation is because of the COVID-19 and everything, that what is the startups can do to survive for next 6 months, as we are witnessing some because of the one or the other reason that the funds have dried up. So what they can do?
Oh yes, so the cash flow challenge is the biggest challenge always, like a startup face. So right now, post COVID-19, I would recommend, and in fact, I will advise to the startup, they have to control their expenditure, and they need to shift more towards, like the virtual space to minimize the cost of the operations. And similarly, they have to be little aggressive in terms of going to the market to the market and sales. So two three things if we can summarize. Number one is that they have to bring down their expenditure. How to do that? The simple way is that you have to shift into the virtual space. So by shifting to the virtual space, you may minimize, like the cost of operation. Let's say suppose may not require the, in fact, office space, may not require, like a physical movement. So traveling cost can be reduced, uh, and many more things you can, like make in a strategy to bring your expenditure little lower side and shifting to the virtual space. Third thing is that you have to be very innovative in terms of uh, going for the sales and marketing. So it is high time you have to go. We cannot say that that the people doesn't have the requirement. So requirement will be always there. So there is no need to lose heart, because we have to face the challenges and grow with this situation and cope up with these situations. So of course market will behave like ups and downs. So maybe like sometime down time, and sometime like the peak time, and then it will reach to the plateau stage. So my suggestion is that you should keep your full energy towards sales and marketing.
Mr.
Thank you so
Mustafa,
much.
I have one question. So you talked about corporate venturing funds, but most of the funding which is happening in India, is it either from US or China or maybe SoftBank? I mean, there are some exception, but Indian corporates are not so keen about funding. Why is it so, and how it can be changed?
So very valid question, Mr. Uma. In fact, like if you remember my first slide, where I have shown the poster of Paytm founder. So that was, like the main concern. Uh, See, mindset is the biggest problem for the Indian investment community. So the mindset of Indian investment communities is still asset-based investment. So until unless we, like shift that mindset from asset-based to air-based, uh, very, like challenging. But I can say, like I see some positive wave on this, and many corporates started, uh, adopting, like the air based, like investment practices as well. So the asset based investment mindset are changing, but it will take little bit time, like, because you understand the Indian market, we are very deeply rooted with the custom traditions and all those things. All right. So it is not very easy to uproot all those tradition, uproot all those network, and immediately adopt all those things. Second thing is that uh, just in addition to this mindset problem, uh, speed is also is the biggest challenge for the Indian investment community. So their due diligence and like the disbursement process takes very like long time, especially if you go into the corporates and the PSUs. So they have very a structured system in place, an elephant size organization. So sometimes it takes, much time, which is not advisable if you are investing and if you are working with the startup community, because a startup wants speed, and if you do not cope up with the speed of a startup, then definitely somehow we are killing the entrepreneurial instinct of a startup. So that's again, I'll say that is structural, organizational issues we are facing, and hopefully things will be changed. And because of these two problem, like mindset problem and the speed problem, uh, most of the startups. Third was also, some governance and regulation and act. Now, thanks to this new government who has changed all this governance structure, rule regulations, now it is more friendly for startups. And so these were the challenges. That's why these startups were taking the route of, outside of the country, because outside of the country, they were able to, attract the mindset, uh, which was not, asset based mindset. And their speed of disbursement of fund is also very fast. And also, it is easy for them to, penetrate into the, the foreign countries, or, in the other part of the countries, uh, part of the world. So these things have attracted the startups, and that's why they have taken, a route to go abroad and start the businesses. So, for example, I must tell you, earlier, maximum number of startups were going to the Singapore. Why? Because Singapore was having very friendly uh, governance system to start the business. Right. So starting a business is just 24 hours work there. Right. That time India was, facing a lot of challenge. This certificate, that certificate, and it was taking about 3 months, 4 months to register a company. Right. So most of the startup were moving to Singapore. Okay, they were starting their business there, so that they can be easily start the operation, and governance was very friendly. Also, they were able to reach to the other part of the world from that place. So these are two, three, the important factor. But I must say that hopefully now, and from last 1 year to 1.5 years, I'm seeing things are changing. So now the startups are not very much interested to raise fund from the US market and China markets and all. From last 1 year, I'm seeing that change in the uh, startup community. Of course, now post COVID-19 pandemics, definitely China is going to see big hit from India. All right, we as an Indian will definitely, not looking very much forward to work with the Chinese investor. So China's strategy was that to bring the money very softly and very easily to capture the Indian market. And I must give you an example, because uh, see, uh, startups communities are saying the Flipkart exit was a big success for the startup community of this country. But I was always, looking the other side of the coin, and I was not very excited of that, exit happened, uh, because uh, in my view, I was thinking that, okay, we have lost the fourth position into the retail sector, because if you look the global map, there are three major player in this, the world. Number one is the Amazon, second is Alibaba, and third is the, you know, uh, I think Flipkart was taking that place, right? So unfortunately, China has understood that point. Okay, because uh, they entered through the Paytm, and Walmart. Oh yes, sorry, I just I'm very sorry. I just want to repeat it. Number one is the Walmart, Amazon, and Alibaba. So So Walmart and Amazon from the US market and Alibaba from China market. So they had captured the entire world market venture, and Amazon has already entered into the Indian space direct into the market. So we lost the opportunity to establish as a fourth player because Flipkart was doing good, and it happened because of Flipkart was looking for a very high growth fund, and that high growth fund was not available in Indian market.
Moving on to the next question. Despite all the efforts towards the corporate venture is yet to take off. So what steps can be are required for the same?
Sorry, can you repeat your question, please, Kavita?
Sure. Despite all the efforts, we come across that the corporate venturing is yet to take off. So what are the steps required for the same?
So yes, corporate venturing will take off in Indian market. This is a natural tendencies, right? Either if you talk about the human tendency, or like, of course, the corporate is also run by the human. So until unless they witness some success, they do not, show the interest. So yes, until unless we show the success through this corporate venturing practices in India. Let's say suppose energy sector has started investing in couple of startups. They have invested into a number of startups, right? If they see some success story out of this, right, then definitely it will, be well accepted into the Indian market, and more corporates will jump into this. Second uh, thing which can really accelerate the corporate venturing practices in India, the push of government, which government has started doing that. So they are bringing the policy which is very startup friendly, and they are also asking the corporates to work with the startup. So if government policies are coming and helping to create a synergy between corporates and startup, then definitely it will flourish in the Indian, the startup ecosystem. Third one is that the corporate, a startup has to be very smart enough here, right? As I was suggesting into my last slide, advisory slide, you have to discover the corporates or identify the corporates and calibrate your technology and business model, which can be a right strategical alignment for that. So let's say I may explain it so that it can be understood. Let's say suppose if I am running a business of, for example, I am telling you, okay, again I will go for the oil sector company, right? Let's say Hindustan Petroleum Corporation. So the main business of the Hindustan Petroleum Corporation is to sell oil and oil products, right? So if a startup is bringing a technology, right, which can help these HPCL or Hindustan Petroleum Corporation help in doing their core business. For example, let me tell you, I'm going to make it more simpler. See, they are selling diesel, petrol, right? Now diesel, petrol through petrol pumps, all right? Can somebody bring electrical vehicle charging infrastructure which can be placed at the petrol pump? So then Hindustan Petroleum will start a new avenues of business. So if somebody is creating that kind of the technology, which they have, like very good chain, they have supply chain, they have network, they have the experience, they have money, they can do it in a night, right? But they do not have the technology. So if somebody can develop a technology which can do the faster charging of an electrical vehicle at petrol pump, it can be a great, fantastic strategical alignment with the corporates. And the Hindustan Petroleum would love to invest whatever money you want. Right? So these kind of the practices, if somebody is bringing some very good technology, definitely I see a very good future of corporate venturing in India.
Thank you so much, sir, for enlightening us and sharing your experiences and knowledge with us. It was really a great learning session with you. We hope to hear from you soon and have such more sessions with you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much, Kavita. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you
And
very much
thanks,
for the time.
thanks, Mr.